Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 261 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the 5th anniversary show. I don't know what I had planned before. Everything kind of changed. I put everything aside, and I do want to warn you that this is probably going to be a lot shorter of an episode than I thought it was going to be because few things happened. Yeah, my accident last month. I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I also have a very nasty cold. I've had it for a few days. I lost my voice a few days ago. I got it back this morning, thankfully, because I didn't even think I was going to have a show. To be honest, I didn't have any voice at all. And I thought, this is the day before my episode is out. And I don't know if I could talk. So it was really up in the air whether I was going to even be able to have a show this week. It would be the first time I wouldn't have a show on a 5th anniversary, which would not be a very good thing, I don't think. But here I am. 5 years. In 2019, I started my show, little show. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea about anything about podcasting. I jumped in head first, as I always do, without knowing anything. I'm that kind of person. And I figured it out as I went. And I love my show. I love doing the podcast. It's been a rough 5 years in my personal life. And I think one of the things that has gotten me through it is this podcast and the listeners. Now, it's a small show. It's never gotten huge like a lot of the other running podcasts have gotten. Yes, they have followers. They have thousands of followers and they get lots and lots of sponsors, but I've never done that. My show is very niche. But I'll tell you, the listeners that I do have are very faithful and they listen every week. There's a very, very faithful core that listen every single week. And I love you guys and thank you so much for listening. Really, you rock my world. And I'll keep going as long as I can. There's a incorrect meme. Well, lots of memes are incorrect and wrong, but there's a meme that I really hate that every time I see it, I want to call it out. And it says, where you are now is where you dreamed to be 5 years ago. Well, no. Okay, if nothing bad has ever happened to you, if you've succeeded in everything that you've done and all your dreams have come true, okay, then that might be true. But if you've had a lot of tragedies, losses, failures, if you have had a lot of messed up things in your life, then it's definitely not true. And my life has been not what I dreamed it to be. All the things that I didn't imagine to happen has happened. And I fought back. So I am way behind of what I thought I was going to be. I never dreamed that I would destroy my shoulder in a trail run. I never thought that I would actually have to have 2 hip surgeries. I never thought that I would be laid off my job. I never thought that all these things would happen. No, these are not dreams. These are horrible nightmares. So, pardon my voice, do actually have a voice this morning, which is more than I had yesterday. So excuse me if I sound weird today. So that, I hate that meme. It just, gosh, it's just, no. This is not what I dreamed to happen. I'm adjusting to life because sometimes things happen that aren't good. But the great thing about my life is my podcast. That is the one constant. Everything else can be messed up in my life, but my one constant is my podcast. It's the one thing I rely upon every week. If I didn't get my podcast out every week, I would have nothing. I can't run right now There are times in my life where I can't run, but I can talk about it on my podcast, and I can get my podcast out every single week. That's why it's so important for me to get an episode out every week, because I don't have any other constants really, except, okay, getting up and breathing every day. All right, that's a constant. But doing my podcast and having pride in getting it out every week, that is my one constant. So it's really important for me to get it out. And I'm very proud of what I've done in 5 years. I'm proud of all the wonderful guests that I've had. I love them. I'm proud of all the subject matters that I've covered. And all you have to do is go back and look at the 260 episodes that I've done, and I've covered so much. I'm going to cover a lot more in this year, a lot of really interesting topics that I wanted to cover that I haven't covered, I will be covering. And one of the things I want to talk about today, and I've got to talk about it before my voice gives out because I can feel it's not going to last much longer. Like I said, this is a shorter episode than usual, is it's okay to not be okay. In running, I think we force ourselves and those around us to be happy all the time. And we're not happy all the time. There are times where we're not going to be happy, where we're going to be sad, and things aren't going to be okay, and things aren't going to work out. And it's okay to not be happy. I've seen runners, and so I've seen my friends on Facebook talk about their depression or their sadness. Corey Reese is one of them. He's a remarkable trailblazer in that. And his latest book, Stronger Than the Dark, I highly recommend, just for that reason that he brings out the topic of depression and how it's hidden so much, especially in running. And there are other people that I've seen have problems with it. And it's okay to not be okay. We runners are human. We have problems too, and we have sadness and grief, and we go through good times and bad times. We're not always going to be on top of things. We're not always going to be happy. Our lives are not always going to be okay. Race will not always go well. We're going to do not finish. We're going to have crash on the trail like I did. We're going to have injuries. We're going to have illness. We're going to have tragedies in our families. We're going to have losses, either through families or financial or emotional. We're going to have things happen to us, and it's all right. It's okay. You don't expect yourself to always be on top, always be happy. And those who pretend to always be happy all the time, this is pretend. That's not life. That's not reality. Maybe they don't want to share their unhappiness, and that's fine. That's their business. But don't think that they don't have it, because they do. They're just hiding it. And that's all right. I'm not talking about people who share all their drama all the time. That's another thing. That's different. But none of us are happy all the time. We're human. We have things that happen to us. And we have to get through the day and deal with it. So I just want you to know that it's all right. It's okay not to be happy. I'm going through a rough time in my life. This is not the roughest time in my life, but this is one of the roughest times in my life. I'm having a hard time. This shoulder thing crushed me. Well, literally crushed me, and emotionally crushed me as well. It really, really brought me down. And then I get sick of this cold. I've had this cold for days. I mean, I'm still kind of sick, but I got to get back to work in a couple days. So I'm going through a rough time. It's not good right now for me. It will be better. I understand that. But things will get better, and it will be okay. And that's what I want to say, is that it's not always going to be good. It will get better. If you're going through a rough time, get through it, and it will get better. I promise. It will. It will. All right. Like I said, this is a short show. I'm sorry about that, but my voice is giving out, and that's all I can do this week. All right. Now, stay tuned for another 5 years of this amazing, amazing show, amazing running, and it will get better. And I will talk about more of my goals coming up. They're not going to be the the gigantic goals that I had before, but I'm going to talk more about it next week. And I'll talk to you soon. And until next week, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.